I am so excited to be live once again right here in community, right here at the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Baptist Church. And we are showing up for you. This is the Getting Better Together Empowerment Series. We are focused on getting healthier, getting happier, getting wealthier, and getting wiser. We have some people here on the panel. We got some community in the room. We have a special guest who's online with us. Let's see if we can bring Chris in and have him introduce himself real quick. Hi, Chris.
Everyone. My name's Chris Odom. How's everybody doing today or this afternoon? Thank you for inviting me to the panel and being part of the Living Powerful experience.
We're glad to have you.
Really excited to speak and share my insight.
Excellent. Now, what's most exciting?
Okay, a little bit about me.
Oh, wait. So actually, I was going to tell them a little bit about you. So the reason we've invited Chris in this way is because we're talking about getting healthier, happier, wealthier, and wiser. And Chris can actually help us in almost all of those areas. So, Chris, from a healthy perspective, how many Planet Fitnesses do you own?
Well, yes. So my name's, again, Chris Odom, and my background and experiences, I'm a Planet Fitness franchisee. I've been a Planet Fitness franchisee since 2011. And we actually have 10 locations in the Puget Sound area.
Yeah. 10. Give them a round of applause, y'all. So that means a couple of things. If we're talking about getting healthier, happier, wealthier, and wiser, there's some assumptions that you can talk a little bit about getting healthier, right? If you have 10 Planet Fitness locations, and many of us talk about New Year, we're going to get healthier. We're going to show up, right? Mm-hmm. And why doesn't that always work out? And what advice can you share with us on how to actually get healthier?
Well, so January is our biggest time of the year. Obviously, it's a New Year's resolution, new you, new me, new you, January. And the challenges that we see is everybody's gung-ho in the first, usually like 2 weeks of the year. And
only 2 weeks?
Only for the first 2 weeks. That's where our joins are the highest. And usually the end of January, because the very beginning of January, people are still a little hesitant to actually, commit to their New Year's resolution. Then they get to the end of the month, they realize they haven't been to the gym, they haven't changed, they haven't started exercising and building a routine. And then we'll get like a surge of people right at the very end of January to say, oh, I need to, I've got really 30 days to start. And so that's the challenge, where we're procrastinating right from the very beginning. And then, those people work out until about March. And then they just start to, slack off and go back to their normal routine. So exercise and health is really a lifestyle, and it's really set in your daily routine. And you've got to just build some basic habits. And we always tell all of our members, just show up. You don't have to be, in the best shape. You don't have to know exactly what you're doing. Just show up, get a routine of being there 10, 15 minutes. And then that will start a pattern where you'll exercise and going to the gym or just doing any form of physical activity will become part of your daily routine. So it starts there. And then from there, you can build more intense workout and just more consistency or add more days. So like start with once a week, baby steps, and then you can build from there. So just get that foundation. And that's
I love it. So we have a panel here of individuals that have been with us for several weeks. This woman is Dr. Linda Smith. Would you like to say anything about this concept of getting healthier? And you know Chris, right?
Yes.
You know Chris.
Yes.
So Chris is
yes, I do.
In community, basically. You've had him as a speaker. We've had him as a speaker with multiple things. So he's a pillar in community. Is there anything you want to share or add to this conversation around how we show up?
No, I love what Chris said. Thank you, Chris, and nice to see you.
You're welcome. Good to see you again.
Real inspiration for this young generation is what I like to say. Building wealth and being healthy. And I always remember Chris coming to the meeting with the apple, really emulating what it really means, to have that apple. But I think what he said was really being intentional about showing up, about who we are every day, and committing to, even if it's 10 minutes, committing to that 10 minutes. So we have to do that holistically. We have to do that from our spiritual, our personal, our emotional selves, as well as the physical things in our lives. So I think that's really the pathway to living authentically and being heard and healed and finding hope in the path forward.
I love it. Chris, you said something. You said just show up. That's one of the things that you tell people. That's actually what we've been talking about here as well. The reason we did this for 6 weeks, and you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you were talking about, the timeline, right?
Yes.
You were like, it's not enough time.
Not enough time. My name is Phyllis Ames, and I'm a
Talk
member.
a little bit louder.
My
I'm just
name
gonna have you
is
look at that camera, right?
okay. My name is Phyllis Ames, and I'm a member of New Beginnings Christian Fellowship. And I love this particular program. I shared with my sister, it needs to be a little longer. That's what I said, because you've opened up a box.
Yes.
And now you've got all these things that you're dealing with, and you're okay with sharing it with certain people.
Yes.
Whereas before you did not necessarily do
Yes. Yes.
that. And there's a certain comfort level with this group. And I love that. I love the fact that I feel like I could share with anyone in this group. And that's key. People have to feel comfortable. I don't care where you are or what you do.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for saying that. And just to be honest, it was your level of vulnerability during our first session. And again, it was so powerful. We were all like every week, it's just gotten more and more powerful and more powerful. And what we've said is we have to turn this into a documentary. Like we have to package it in such a way that it's in community, and it's like, this is what success looks like. This isn't an anomaly. It's not an accident. It's very intentional. It's intentional and organic. You can see we're live. We don't care. We just like, hey, let's go. Tears are flowing. We're like, let them flow.
Let them flow.
Let them flow, right? We're all the most organic and authentic that we can be, because we're like, we are here for community. This is about empowerment and it's about healing. And unless we show up authentically, we can't expect other people to do the same. So, Chris, if I had to ask you a follow-up question in the short amount of time that we have, we're here showing up raw, tears flowing, whatever it takes. This is about transformation, Chris, right? A lot of us don't feel. And I don't know how deep you get when it comes to transformation, but you got to go deep to the beliefs. What do people believe? Right? Not just what they think, what they feel, what they do, right? To lead to the results, but it's ultimately what they believe. So we've been going deep into the beliefs, transforming beliefs. We did some forgiveness work. Like we're going deep. So people are having major experiences. So I say, let's resurrect those resolutions. It's just June, right? So you got any June specials? They're like, we got resurrect the resolutions. When you free your mind, success will follow, right? So for all those people who signed up in January and have forgotten that they have a membership, what can you do right now to say, hey, y'all, as part of the Better Together Empowerment series, come on back, resurrect those resolutions, do the work. Like, it's never too late to transform. I guess that's really the point. It's never too late to transform. And if we've been able to build this in such a short amount, just a few weeks, build this community, build this connectivity, build this opportunity, we're going to continue. We're going to continue this work. So what would you say to people about assuming, like you said, just show up? And if you've been gone for 6 months, we will welcome you back with open arms, just like here. That's what community is about. So give people a loving welcome and embrace on what they can do to show up for themselves every day.
So I'm going to do it twofold to give a shameless plug, but also
Please.
a little inside information. So when we talk about wealth and mindset, so very soon, I can't say the exact date, but very soon in the near future, our membership that's always been $10 is going to increase to $15 very soon. So if you act now, you can still get in the rate that we've been at for like 25 years. And then that rate is going to go away forever. So to keep money in your pocket and be able to take advantage of only working out for just $10 a month and having unlimited access to whatever club you choose, take advantage to sign up before the end of the month. Not only does it set yourself up to be in a nice, affordable gym that's accessible to many, you can also save that ongoing monthly dues that can add up, over an extended period of time. And then beyond that, so that's point number one. And point number two is
That's
so
great.
point number two is there's always time. One thing, being a member of a New Beginnings, what I said, is you can always start over. God's always ready to start over. So January is June. You got halfway through the month. You still got a J month. Plenty of time to come in and sign up. So, we have many people stop, start, come back. The doors are always open. And even if you get halfway through the year and then start, at least you started and you didn't let the whole year go away. So, I think that can be done for any resolution that you have. You want to start them all in January, but maybe the timing is not there in the mental place we need to be. There's other things going on in life that distract us, but today it's time to get your mind and set forth those goals of exercise and wealth. And when you do that, you'll have more energy, you'll sleep better, your mood will be better. You'll be able to recover faster from workouts, and you'll probably be able to think a little clearer too, and you'll be less stressed out too. So, which I think can definitely help you focus and be empowering, focus on your overall wellness, health, mental health, physical health. So it all folds together, and the time is now. I think just we're not too far away from the pandemic that impacted tons of brown and people of color and people who are didn't have access to health care and affordable options to make sure that they were able to get through the other side of the pandemic. So the best preventative medicine is exercising and participating in your own rescue and making sure you are focused on your own health. So if anything comes up, you're already prepared. You've already got that armor that you need to get through anything.
So I heard you say participate in your own rescue. Every head in the room is nodding like, OMG, he better just say that one more time. Participate in your rescue. So part of what we've been doing here is identifying our saboteurs, identifying ways that we can intercept those saboteurs, right? Those things that have been holding us back, that have been creating a roadblock possibly to the life that we desire. And I think you just said participate in your own rescue. There's something so powerful about that. Tell us a little bit more about why that is so important, and maybe even going deeper into the how. How do we do that if you've been conditioned to fall into a path of least resistance is really what it is, but really going into your own rescue?
Well, I think it's tough. It's tough work. I think it's about looking in the mirror. There's another person I follow quite a bit. His name's David Goggins. And he always talks about the accountability mirror. And that's really just showing up and being brutally honest with yourself, things that you're afraid to talk about and your insecurities and fears, and recognize like you've got to be vulnerable, like you said. You've got to be vulnerable and transparent with yourself for you to kind of break down and realize, I've got to get through this, whatever these hurdles are in my life. And as long as I'm kind of putting these barriers around my thinking, what my perception is, I'll never be able to get on the other side. So there's always tons of resources out there, but it starts with us being able to walk through those doors and making the decision to say, I want to do something different. I don't like where I am in life or who I am, and I've got to make the change. So you got to make the first choice to say, I want to be different or I want to be better. So from there, then I think you can start that process of, trying to rescue yourself and put yourself on a path that you really envision for your own life. So I think it comes down to that. taking that extreme ownership and recognizing that, I've got to want to change myself first and foremost. And I got to take those steps to do that.
Chris, we got several people who want to follow up with you. They would think that we've been talking, planning out this script. You hear what he's saying, y'all? He might be recapping what we've said over the last 5 weeks. He just said, right, you have to make the choice. You have to decide that you want to get better and then participate in your own rescue. Like, this is so beautiful. You want to say something. And then you want to say something, I think, too, about when he said, I heard you respond when he said, like looking in the mirror, that accountability mirror. What were you going to say?
I wanted to say good evening to my brother.
Good to see your house.
It's a pleasure to see you. I got it on too. So, as you were sharing that wisdom about rescuing your lead, participating in your own rescue, as we often do at school, I'm going to one up you, and you really have to lead. We have to lead the rescue as it relates to ourselves. We have to lead the rescue. But I also wanted to make another correlation with you being here and ask you to develop this, because if we're talking about the idea of improving ourselves from a health perspective, and you see people all the time present, and what you said at the beginning was the essential building block is to show up. So you lead the rescue by first showing up, right? And then the idea is when you show up, Chris, what does it mean to be present? And before you answer that, right, I want to build off of something that I heard yesterday in a sermon where I was challenged to blow it up. And blow it up started with the idea of, those things that no longer work for us. So we can be destructive about that. What are the things that no longer work for us? Right. And what does that allow when you see people present to your, to your workout centers? What do you find people, really leaning into blowing it up, and how do they simplify it so that it's not 2 weeks, right? But that they just build that habit, because that's what this series is about. And the reason it's in short burst is this idea of build and create new muscle. I'm going to stop because I'm in your lane. And so I just want you to develop that.
So what we try and do is first, welcome everybody in and create a safe place. I think I heard that word earlier. A place of safety and a sense of community. So people know that, we're not here to judge, and we're here to welcome everybody at get through their fitness journey. So I think to make sure that you're making those changes and trying to, step into blowing it up, you need to feel in that new space. You need to feel a sense of like welcoming and belonging. And then I think that gives you a certain amount of comfort, maybe even recognition to say, but the old things weren't working. I see a new path. I'm in a new environment, have people who are welcoming. So, community and nurturing is always, I think, and just support altogether is super important, and something that we always, it's really a pillar of our gym and brand, welcoming people of all safety. Do that, people start to come back. You build those relationships. You talk about, their fitness journey, what brought them in. I mean, a lot of times people come in for health reasons, like the doctor said, hey, if I don't, reduce my blood pressure or I've got, cancer in my family, or I've got aches and pains and different ailments, or I'm overweight and hypertension, high blood pressure, all those things that, it's going to impact your overall, quality of life and your longevity for life. So, those are things that usually bring people in, but trying to really create that environment that we're here to support you helps people to stay. And so I think just any space you're in, you've got to, evaluate your circle of friends. Maybe they're not the right people. You might need a new circle. Sometimes your friends that are people holding you back. and not letting you. They don't want you to change, because that's going to make them uncomfortable. They might have to change. They don't want to do that. So it's around being around the people who are on this new path that you want to be on. And again, you got to be self-aware and recognize that if I want something better, I've got to, be informed like this. So, or things that really are different than what you normally do,
I love it. I love that.
It's just as easy as taking a different route home to work, just to change it up and get yourself comfortable. So I think you got to do those things, do the things that are making you uncomfortable, then you'll start growing and developing.
Well, I think there's been a lot of real substance. And I wanted to go back to something that Phyllis had said about relationships, about creating a relationship in this room really makes us feel comfortable in coming back. And one of the things that we have to have a relationship with ourselves, we have to learn to love ourselves, because when we love ourselves, then we're going to do differently. So that love relationship starts with ourselves. So there's something inside of all of us that are here that's come and said, I love myself enough to want to do better and to be better. And so you glean from the other people's stories and the power. So that's really powerful. Thomas Merton, one spiritual philosopher, talks about, and we talked about this in one of our earlier sessions, is awakening the subconscious to become conscious of those things that are holding us back or stopping us from living our true selves, our authentic self. And, we over life, we sort of want to live our lives based on everybody else, and sort of glean from them. But when we tap into that subconscious, we begin to create that love relationship with ourselves that compels us to live a new truth.
Chris is nodding his head. Yeah. Chris, what you know about loving yourself? Come on now, tell us a little bit more about why that is important. I see you smiling and nodding your head. It's critical, right? Because if you don't love yourself, you're not going to be willing to, like you said, participate in your own rescue, lead your own rescue. That love is so important. I'm worth it. I'm worthy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think even the people who are dedicated to the gym, there's many days where you don't feel like getting up and going. I think that's natural. So you just have to resist that, sense of, I want to go back to sleep, or I don't want to put my workout clothes on and drive to the gym. Think about that. Hey, if I'm loving myself, this is going to help me to be a better version of myself. So, but I'm there too. There's days I didn't want to go work out this morning, but I had to go. I was contemplating. I was like, oh, maybe I'll go the next day. Let me think about it. But I said, nope. Let me just stick to my routine. I decided last night I was going to go. Can't chicken out now this morning. So I think you're always kind of having those games, your inner thoughts as far as like doing one thing and not doing it second guess, but you just got to keep going through. The path is always through. So keep going forward.
I love it. I love that. I love that so much. And what I love best about that is, again, we get to show up differently all the time. Like we get to show up in such a way that allows us to thrive. Like we get to transform, and transformation is what this is all about. It's not about one little thought, right? Well, I'm going to think differently today. And then when some stressor comes up, I get pushed back to where I started. No, it's about truly understanding your beliefs and going deep so that you transform, so that this new you, this new being is actually who you are from the core. So you get to show up actually transform. So Chris, I know you have a hard stop in 3 minutes. I want to see if anybody in this room has a question for Chris. I'm gonna have you come up here real quick, and I'm gonna have you come over here. So we have someone here who walked every day. I'm gonna have you get here and you go around and go over there. So real quick, we have someone here who walked every day for how many days?
597 days.
597 days. So we're part of right?
2 years.
Exactly. That's what this is about. Talk a little bit about what you did and what your strategies were.
So in essence, as you talked about earlier, self-care, fitness, wellness has to be a lifestyle. You have to value yourself enough to do whatever it takes to take care of you. And during the great interruption, as I call it, I was a member of your gym, but of course,
right.
it got cut down and all that stuff. So I had to figure out a way, because I've been a multi-sport athlete my entire life. My body's used to moving and working out. I used to be a jazzercise fitness instructor as well. So I had to figure out what was I going to do to keep myself in shape during the great interruption. And so I had been participating with Girl Trek, which is an organization focused on Black women. And you talked about their motto also is don't ask permission to save your own life. And their premise is walking 30 minutes daily. Black women, we take back our lives, and we're rescuing our communities as well. So I just laced up. I got out there and started walking. Then I challenged myself. Okay, let me see how long I can walk. But then we had like the smoke, from the California fires that broke it up. Okay, so I had to start again. We had the snow, so I had to start again. But this time, where I got to I was trying to go for 2 years. I was working on that, but at least I had a strategy the next time when it snowed. So I had my hiking boots. I'm out there in the rain, so I had my headgear. I was waterproof. So I got out there no matter what for 597 days until I got hit with the vid by family members. So I just had to sit down. But I was going to force myself to go out there because I didn't want to break my streak. But 597 is where I got to. And so people could just understand your body's design. God gave us these fearfully and wonderfully made bodies that are healthy and hale and whole and can be disease free. We can do something as simple as walking. So a strategy that I use now is I lace up. And as a former fitness instructor, folks, you got to be rotating shoes and paying attention to your posture and all those good things. But I lace up. I go out 15 minutes. As soon as that timer hits 15 minutes, I hit it again, turn around, and go back. So I'm assured of getting my 30 minutes in by simply walking out the door in my neighborhood. But I also participate with Girl Trek. So I personally host the second Saturday down at the Cedar River Trail here in Renton, put out the announcements. And we just gathered recently. There were 10 of us who got out there on the pavement. You're meeting some incredible women, and it's community. So for those who don't like to go to a gym, find somebody who you can partner with. It doesn't have to be a huge organization, but find somebody who you can partner with to do simple things to take care of this temple, which God has blessed you with.
Yo, we said today was going to be about hearing voices. Do you love that? Do you love that?
I love it.
597. When I first started with Girl Trek, I heard about this one right here. You weren't at 597, but I was like, these are my people right here. Because it's always, I knew it was better when we do it together. That's been my mentality for my entire life.
Yes.
Right. And so when you showed up, it motivated me. So just thank you.
You're welcome.
For continuing to do the work. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Because I know you had something you wanted to share.
A follow-up question.
Uh-huh.
So talk to me about day 598, right? And I asked that, right, because I started doing a similar routine, and I laughed earlier about the 15 minutes, just trying to force myself into having this. That's the way I'm going to start my day. So that whole idea of leading your rescue is you being intentional about it. And I built some pretty good streaks. Like right now today, I'm on 122.
Go.
But here's the piece that I've found to be really interesting is the day the streak ends, right? What is your mindset? And so there's two forces that are working within me. Here's my confession. Y'all knew what was coming. All right. So that confession is on one side, I think about what I just lost, 122 days. Now I know it's 123 before I get the next one, right? But I also think my muscles have been wired for 122 days, that I'm waking up, God opens my eyes, and as I'm putting together my day, not even intentionally thinking about it, but my head is saying, how are we going to get our 10,000 steps? And so it's 122 days of 10,000 steps a day.
Wow.
So that determines where I park and everything else. So I'm just interested, like on day 597, right? That was the last day. You didn't know it on 597. But on day 598, kind of where were you?
Distance glasses on, I can't see that.
Oh, so we got two people who are going to answer this question. Chris, I know you have a hard stop, right? So would you like to answer it real quick, and then we'll come back to you? You got a few more minutes?
Sure.
So
Thank you.
Yeah.
So answer, then I want you to come back around and help, because that's really important. This is about mindset. So when you're doing the work, there are choices that we get to make at that moment, but other moments as well, right? So again, every decision determines your destiny. I've said that multiple times. So what are your thoughts about what his question was? If I'm at the day that you broke the streak, did you see it as breaking the streak, or did you see like, hey, okay, I got 597. This is gonna be easy. Is that what you thought?
Oh, not necessarily. It was easy.
Not easy,
I
but
was
I got
okay.
this.
I mean, my mindset. I don't fret over things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I did a great job.
Absolutely.
My body took me down for a minute. It took me down for 2 days. I was kind of disappointed, but I got enough to know rest if your body needs rest.
Amen.
And so
Yes.
I didn't stress, and I didn't worry about starting a new streak, because just me and my lifestyle, I know I'm getting back out there or doing some movement daily anyway. So I didn't worry about it. It was just a challenge, and I accomplished the challenge, and I was grateful to get as far as I got. I was disappointed, but 597 days, y'all, that's a lot.
Yes.
Rain,
Yes.
snow,
Yes.
every
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
weather, being out there. So I was disappointed, but it did not stress me to worry about I didn't accomplish my
Or how
2
long it
year
would take
goal.
you to build another.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. So now I'm just focused on keeping this body as healthy as possible, knowing that I'm going to get out there daily doing something. And if I don't, one day off, it doesn't bother me, because my lifestyle is self-care, wellness, and
Hardwired.
fitness.
I love it. And Chris, I see you smiling. You're like, yep, she's my people, right? She's like, yes, her mindset, her lifestyle includes wellness in some way. What would you say to kind of build on Owen's question about when our minds want to sabotage us and take us down a negative path that is unnecessary, right? Those are the voices that we say silence the saboteurs. What are your thoughts about that?
Yes. Well, before I start that, I want to say a shout out to Girl Track, because during the pandemic, what did she say? What you coined it as a word? The great interruption. I did a lot of hiking with Black People Hike, and we partnered up on a good amount of hikes together with Girl Track. So shout out to them. It was always great for them to be a part of the hikes too. And again, our gym was closed. All the gyms were closed, so I had to venture outside too to for my own mental health and exercise. So and congratulations to consistently doing anything. I think that consistently is something to commend. So excellent work for that. But to Owen's question, yeah, I mean, there's always doubts. You're always trying to getting pushed away or pulled away from what you do. That could just be, you got like the good angels, you got the bad angel. And so you're always battling between your spiritual self and the fleshly desires. So I think spiritually you're thinking around exercise and wealth and mental health, and then the fleshly could just be like, oh, let me just eat this food, let me lay on the couch, let me just skip my workout. So it's like that's those fleshly intimidations. So it's just trying to be spiritually.
Did you just fleshly intimidations? Hold, please, as I document that.
Yeah.
The fleshly intimidation.
That's what it is. It could be that Haagen-Dazs ice cream, all those things that can get you off your square.
Just calling it a fleshly intimidation. Not now, fleshly intimidation.
In the gym business, we always ask, people always ask us, so what's your biggest competition? What's Planet Fitness' biggest competition? And our CEO always said one thing, the couch. That was our biggest competition. So getting people off the couch and motivated is always, and still today, our biggest competition. We've got like there's only about 25% of the population actually works out at a gym. So you've got another 75% of people either doing things outside or just nothing at all. And so that's the pocket of people that we really got to focus on. So, if there's any other health scares, we've got a whole community of people that are healthy and available to, attack these viruses head on, because they're not going away. So they morph, they change. The flu's here to stay, and so is this whatever automatic remaking of COVID. It will still be there, and so we've got to make sure we protect ourselves, and we build our own breastplate of honor and strength.
I love that. I love that so much. I think we had a comment from Clyde. Potentially, are you ready? I think we can share. Clyde, yes, sir. Whenever you look at that camera.
Chris, quick question. As I get older,
Yes.
I'm shrinking. So while we talk about doing something on a regular basis to get thinner, what are your recommendations for putting on a human being?
Well, you said one more time with the question? Let's break up a little bit.
Basically, I just said I'm shrinking, man. I'm 75. I exercise, but I'm getting thinner and thinner with my time. Do you have a program for putting weight on?
So
How do you add weight?
Yeah, so that is, on one hand, that's like a natural progression. As we get older, we have less testosterone, our body mass index just reduces, as we normally just don't have the same amount of juice and muscle mass to build and keep weight on. So on one level, it's not like the worst thing in the world. I think it's just around focus on your cardiovascular health. That's always the biggest thing. If your heart's beating and you've got blood rushing through, so it's like trying to maximize your resting heart rate. So I would focus on low impact exercises and body weight exercises. So low impact could be ellipticals, it could be stairmasters, it could be walking on a treadmill but on a high incline, so you're not damaging your joints and ankles and knees if you're like running on the treadmill, because that's considered more high impact, but you're still getting a very effective cardio workout and preserving your joints and ankles as we get older. And then to make sure you're exercising but still building a certain amount of muscle mass, but avoiding, make sure you don't get injured during the process, is standard push-ups. Those always work. Push-ups, dips. There's different exercises where you just use your own body. Lunges, and that can also just help make you stronger. Not necessarily bigger, but it's around just being stronger and, again, having a healthy heart. And so doing those low-impact cardio exercises and doing exercises like lunges, you can do wall sits, and then as simple as consistent amount of push-ups. You can do assisted pull-ups as well as different exercises at the gym. So there's a lot of things that you can do where you can kind of be mindful of, like, not lifting too heavy, but still building strength and mass.
Thank you.
I love it. He said, "Thank you very much. We appreciate it."
You're
Do you have any
welcome.
final words you want to share related to getting better, getting healthier, happier, wealthier, and wiser? You also always look happy every time I see you. Is that because you're healthy and wealthy? What's up with that?
I've always been blessed with a natural smile. So even in tough times, I usually always smiling. But healthy and wealth, that definitely makes a smile a little bigger. But
Chris,
I told her you were smiling because Tracy promised that we could sing our college hymn right now.
oh no. All of a
if he's
sudden,
a poorhouse man, that means you're a poorhouse man too.
my heart stop is really kicked in. But
Chris, thank you
I
so
think
much. We
God-
appreciate you.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
we
I
appreciate you
appreciate I appreciate the time. I mean, we need forums like this. We need everybody in this community. I mean, this is community here too. So, getting around a new circle of people who are focused on, being empowering, it is a lifestyle change. It's that mental shift. And again, when you start exercising, your body starts craving it, as you mentioned earlier. So, your body will be like, what's wrong? I need my fuel, but I need to eat. I was like, I'm hungry. I need water. Or I'm thirsty. I need water. I'm hungry. I need food. But then your body's also like, I need my exercise. How come we haven't gone to the gym? How come
Chris,
we're not walking? How come we're
just
not running?
said,
So once you
Chris, what you just said is so powerful
Mhm.
because I think a lot of people haven't allowed themselves to build the habit. Like you said, they got to the 2 weeks and then they're like, okay, I got some other distraction. So what you're doing is you're kind of leaning forward because part of our conversation this week is about what's next, right? We've been very consistent.
Yep.
People have shown up. We've gotten so much content online. It's like been incredible. But my question to you is, again, back to the staying focused one step at a time. I heard you say celebrating. She celebrated so much during all the other days. Your brain was already like, this is who I am. This is just what I do. So that transformation had already kicked in. So when Owen mentioned, why did you feel some kind of way, so to speak? And her body, that caterpillar had already become a butterfly. So it was like, hey, I didn't get to fly today, but my wings are already flapping and I'm going to take off as soon as my next opportunity. So she wasn't in any way reverted back to a caterpillar. That wasn't going to happen. That wasn't who she was. Her DNA had changed, right? So you're basically saying get people to just show up to the point where their body is craving it, where they become a new being.
Yes, exactly. It's just about showing up. You can't just sign up. You got to show up too. And that's the difference.
Say it. Show up. I love
You can't just sign up. You got to show up.
So
it's easy to sign up. It's hard to
So
show
it's sign up,
And then you
show
gotta
up.
That's it. That's it. Day 3.
And when those saboteurs start whispering in your ear, say, shut up, right? And just keep showing up. I love that. That is so beautiful, Chris. Thank you. Thank you, thank you,
You're
and thank you.
welcome.
What is
You're welcome. Y'all have a
I saw your mouth like you were gonna say, I saw your mouth like you were going to say something in it.
Oh, I was just gonna say y'all have a good evening and thank you for your time and let me know when the next one is. I'll make sure I'm on to give y'all a little 2 cents.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, y'all have a great evening. Thank you. Stay blessed.
Thank you. So, y'all, we're going to see a quick video by Debrina, which is actually on the topic of liberation. So this week is week 6. So we've shown up, and partially what we want to do is we want to hear from each of you, right? This is about us saying, now what, right? Why were we doing this? A little bit of a reminder and a refresher. But really, let's talk about this concept of liberation. We said this was about empowerment and about healing. We were very clear about the process. So let's hear what Debrina had to say about this concept of liberation.
Going deep isn't difficult unless we haven't been doing it, which most of us haven't. So it's an underdeveloped muscle, but it's not inherently hard or difficult. So, one of the elements of this journey, which is really unique, because we often talk about healing and use the word and throw the word around in groups. But when I ask, well, tell me the actual healing work you did, then someone may cite a general exercise or activity, but you actually included healing processes in the journey. That's often a huge missing. And so forgiveness work, as I define it, and there might be some other definitions out there, but I define it primarily as personal liberation work. So to free yourself from old emotions that are informing your thoughts and responses, to free yourself from perceptions that are warped and twisted about yourself or someone else or a situation, to reopen your heart, to liberate your heart so it could be in its natural state open as a portal. So this really is about liberation when you boil it all down.
Wow. Liberation, y'all. When you hear the term liberation, can you tell people what my nickname for you is?
Frederick.
Frederick what?
Douglas. You just call me Frederick. Everybody knows the context of that.
and you call me
Harriet.
Because we're trying to set our people free, y'all. This is about liberation for us. So when you hear this term liberation, and you know Mr. Education, Mr. Empowerment, what do you think? Anybody else want to share what liberation means to them?
So the essential conversation that I understand to be taking place with everyone in this room and our God is twofold. I love you, and I'm always with you.
That's right.
And if you think about those two tracks, and then putting your life experience on those two tracks, as you move down those two tracks, there are times when you've got to wait. The conversation is ever present, but you've been fascinated with the creations that God has made visible to you, and sometimes distracted. So how does this tie into liberation and freedom? The very depths of God's love for you is built in the idea of agency, that God gives you choice. Mm-hmm. When you wake up, what conversations will you hear? What conversations will you lead with? What conversations will allow you to move in community in a way that influences your community? How are you willing to transform yourself, lead your rescue in a way that inspires others? So that's what the liberation work essentially is grounded in, that you'd be liberated in a way that regardless of what your life is bringing you today, that echo that's hardwired, I love you, I'm always with you.
I love that. That is deep. How many of you feel that love? I know I do.
Yeah.
I know I do. The liberation. I love it. So when I mentioned liberation, we had someone else from the audience come up. Would you tell us who you are? And when you hear liberation, what does that mean to you?
My name is Jacqueline Brown, and the word liberation to me, when you were talking about it, I was thinking about, that, we have so many things that we have to liberate ourselves from, whether it's, the stereotypes of being a woman or a mother or a wife. But for me, what I really thought about was those stereotypes that that bind us in terms of, what we think we can do and what we cannot do. Like when Sean was talking about doing the walking and everything, it's like, well, we don't walk because, you can't really look cute when you're walking, because you're going to get sweaty and, all these things that kind of go along with it. You're going to be tired and you're going to be sore. But looking at it from an individual perspective of this is what is best for me. So I don't have to worry about those confines of, I can't do it because, the people that I see walking don't necessarily look like me. They don't necessarily, I can't relate to them. So liberation from all those chains of, the stereotypes, the concept of, well, I'll do it another day, or, like when you were talking about the rain and the snow, and it's like, I was sitting there thinking, I have definitely used those things as an excuse. And I'm not a snow person. I don't like being cold, but so what? I mean, it's only for, a quick half hour. And then, and I love being outside. So it wasn't that, but it was like, then I'm going to get cold and I got to be out here in these boots and all this kind of stuff. So thank you. That was very inspiring. Yes. And moving forward, and to keep going, not just, because my partner can't go, because she's busy, or, my other partner is, doing something else. And it's like, okay, no, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Mm-hmm. Finding a safe place where I can do it, of course. Right. But, it's like, yeah, I can still walk. I can still, get out, and because I always feel so wonderful when it's done. So wonderful.
So do you feel like you changed that you had clear beliefs about these workouts that you decided to do. Like you decided that I don't believe it's a problem. I don't believe this. I believe I feel amazing after my workout. Like you make it a thing so that like you celebration time, right? You feel like it's an organic process.
Yes, it is.
Where you get to pour into yourself. So when I say it, y'all, I'm not crazy. I promise. I understand the science of this. There are things that are like absolutely proven to work scientifically. There's the spiritual side. There's this cultural side that says together, when we walk together, it's so much better, right?
Yes.
But if your people are not available, you've already done the work internally so that your beliefs will set you free, will liberate you to continue walking. So talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons that I wanted to participate in this workshop, was because I wanted to see how I could change my mindset so that I could become the person that I want to be, and I have grown so much. Really? And I really appreciate
that's so exciting.
all the presenters and how much I've enjoyed it. I mean, I always love to learn new things, but often when I'm learning new things, it's about something that's not directly related to me. It may be about how to do something better, but this was personally related to me. And I have grown so much, so I really appreciate all of you who have contributed and commented.
The co-creation, right? So community co-created. That's why the people that are up here were not people on the panel. The people that were on the list, because this was a co-creation. That one right over there. Remember how the first session she came correct, and we were all like, "Oh, it's gonna be like that." We showing up full throttle. Remember that? We were like, "Oh, okay, let's do the thing then." So before you go, tell us a little bit about your journey as well. Like you said, you came ready.
I did.
You knew there was going to be a transformation. You knew there was going to be you knew if you do your part.
I can only think of a couple of things right now. And one is when I think of liberation, I think of two things. I think of others.
Yeah.
Not necessarily self, but others.
Tell me
how I changes my environment. And my environment is not just the four walls in my home. My environment is any place I go.
Yes.
My job, out on the street at the mall,
yes,
in the salon, wherever I go, I can be a change agent. And because I am a change agent, I know who I am. I know who I belong to. So whenever you see me, if I don't speak to you, call me out. Call me out. Because something's going on in here. And you may be the person that could bring me right out of it. Because I'll say, I remember what you said. And just know, we're not in this alone. We're in this together. If each one could lock arms with one other person, it makes a huge difference in the community. One of the things that we struggle with in our community right now, my heart is broken. I don't have any children, but I have plenty of nieces and nephews. But every time I hear about gun violence, it just takes a piece of my heart. And I said, we have got to do something. And I used to always say, well, the parents, it's got to start at home. Well, if they don't have parents at home that know where to start, then if you know where to start, help a sister or brother out. We got responsibility to our community.
Yes.
And our community is not just here in Renton, it's not just here in Seattle, it's worldwide. People need us worldwide.
Yes.
People need to know that if you put your mind to it, God will make it happen for you. You just got to call it what it is. Okay, I'm not going to fail. Don't count failure as something that is bad. I don't know anybody that is successful that has not failed. If they have, they're not successful. Because everybody I have read about that is successful has failed countless times. Most of your billionaires have failed.
Yes.
But they are billionaires today because they weren't concerned about failing. So we got to change that mindset about failing for ourselves and our children.
Yes.
I'm through now.
You guys love that. Give her another round of applause for showing up with such a vulnerable heart. So y'all, we as new people come in, so I just want to share it with new people online. I also want to share, like, listen, this is about you. This is the Better Together Empowerment Series. We're talking about your liberation. This is about how you get to show up differently, how we get to show up collectively different, how it's better together, and how we know. So you said you've transformed. You've had some experiences. Week 1, we were talking about this concept of that you have the power of self-command. You can do it. You just said we can do it. We have choices. We can do it.
Yep.
We were talking about this concept of leveling up. Doesn't matter where you are. We're not saying you're not happy. We're saying getting healthier, happier, wealthier, and wiser. It's the level up concept. Week 3, we got even deeper and we said, let's focus on those levels of awareness, right? Awareness of yourself, looking in the mirror, taking off the mask, awareness of how others experience you. Right, and then when you get aware of your streets, which might be overdone and become saboteurs, right? When you see them, how quickly can you put on the brakes and pivot to what you know is going to help you achieve your goals? That's true awareness.
It is.
When you can be aware and be like, that is not ideal, going over here, right? Like, how much time do we waste with those thoughts, with those saboteurs telling us the lies? How much time do we waste in that space? And it's just like, and when I first had this conversation with you, you were like, I like all of my saboteurs, honey, because those things, tell me, right? And I was like, ooh, I love you so much. You got to surround yourself with real people, right? She's like, I don't know about you, but my saboteurs are my strengths, right?
They've helped me.
And we were like, yes, and.
Yes.
Yes, and.
And I have to laugh because as Chris Odom was talking, and he gave the example of the individual who always says, I don't want to get up and get dressed and drive to the gym. I mean, we talk about limiting thoughts, right? I say that to myself all the time. I make it make sense. I got to get dressed twice. I got to get up, get dressed, drive to the gym. Then I got to come home, get in the shower, get dressed to go to work. That's a whole lot of time, right? So limiting thoughts and just being aware of how our perceptions or lack thereof, right? What's more important, the hour that it took me to get dressed and go to the gym, or my heart? My lungs, my limbs, all that, my mind, my sleep. Like, what is the sacrifice being made, right? So it's, and I think as part of my journey, the awareness of these limiting thoughts that may even be norms for me. They may not have even been identified prior to these sessions that they were limiting thoughts. But now I have this awareness. I know one of my saboteurs is hyper-rational. So I'm always rationalizing, right? And in many instances, it serves me well. But if it's in overdrive, I won't make it to the gym. Right? So just knowing, hey, limiting thought. Okay, how am I going to gain control, self-command, and shift that limiting thought into an opportunity? And I think that's the power of this journey. And going from not being aware, not just the thoughts and the belief systems, but then also the emotions that we experience. Even from the session of last week and going through the process of the healing work as it relates to forgiveness. And feeling frustrated as we went through that exercise. For me, I was so frustrated because I was like, oh, I only know 3 emotions. I was like, okay, there's got to be more than these 3 that I'm familiar with. So how do I begin to learn more about this circle or this cycle of emotion and really understand the breadth of it, right? And if I can identify the emotion, then I can do more of the healing work, right? And identify how situations in my personal life are impacting my thought process. And so becoming more familiar with all of these emotions and the possibilities that I'm faced with as an individual who's experiencing emotions, right? And then doing the work around that so that I become more aware, I become more intentional about dealing with these emotions so that I can put them behind me and take appropriate action to actually do the healing.
I love it.
I love that. So we're going to do another deep dive. Thank you for that, Cassandra. Y'all give her another round of applause. Y'all see how the group up here keeps changing you like that. It's like magic, right? It's studio magic, right? Where people keep coming and going. I said this session was about hearing from each of you, hearing your voices. So we're cycling in a few more people, some familiar faces, some that have been here for the very first time. She's an artist. So we talked about bringing in both art and culture. Like this has been about science. My brain is very scientific. Like these are the things I know are going to work so I can come into community 100% confident, work it, and it will work for you, right? Like show up and do the work and it will work for you. So when I talk about this work, there's multiple layers, right, of how this can work for us. There's also the spiritual side we've brought in, but we're also bringing in the cultural side, these healing circles. It's the arts and the culture. So this woman is an artist, right? You have skills beyond belief. I saw her yesterday with a cowboy hat on and all the tattoos. I was like, okay, let's go. Let's go. So before I come to you, so get ready. Any of the topics, right? We're talking about liberation. We're talking about mindset, getting better together, living powerfully, any of that.
Okay.
So get ready. But I'm going to go over here because he's been here.
Okay.
This man, you have been, how long were you incarcerated?
25 years.
So when we talk about liberation, he knows a little bit of something about liberation.
Okay.
So talk a little bit about liberation. Like we say, free your mind and success will follow. And you did that. You actually, not only did you do it, but then you came out, you wrote a little book and a workbook. He's like, here's what I know to be true. Here's how I can leave a legacy for the next generation. So powerful. It's so much better when you do it together.
Yes, absolutely.
God, I'm so glad you're here. You know, every time I see you, I get all illuminated and excited. It's so true. But talk about liberation. Again, that's part of this work.
Yes.
We talk about illumination, being clear, because you've talked about some awarenesses. Illumination,
Yes.
Liberation, and transformation.
Yes.
The floor is open.
Oh. You open the floor. You open the floor.
Dr. Carter just did like this to me. So the floor is open for about 3.5 minutes. You got He's a boss man. When the boss man be like, I done seen him talk in a good way. In a good way. We're gonna do some one-on-ones with him because Dr. Carter's like we on the clock. But go ahead. Talk about liberation or illumination.
Well, both. Actually.
Yes, and transformation.
You have to understand who you are as an individual. It's one of the things that I had to find out who I was as an individual and who I wanted to be, right? Knowing that I was in confinement, although I was there in the physical, my mind was never held captive.
Say it.
My mind was never.
The rumors say, hey, wait a minute. It's your body was on lockdown.
Body's gonna come and go.
That's right.
But your mind was free.
But your mind, you control that.
Wow.
You got control. You might not control the chains, the bars, the fences, but you will continue always to control this thought process. For me, when you talk about liberation,
Yes.
we have a history, right? We have a history where we came from and our ancestors had to what? Come on a ship. Right? So you talk about their struggles and their pains that if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. Right?
None of us.
So I know the struggle. So I know the process, right? So we are actually children from afar, right? And so for me, I sat and I watched how life was continuing on the outside. It didn't stop, right? It didn't stop. But because I was reserved, I had the opportunity to determine and write the story for myself.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
We talk about who's going to write your obituary. I wanted to write my story. I wanted to write my own story, right? So I don't have to think about who's going to write my obituary. I already told the story, right? So therefore, I already know what it's going to say.
We call that the amen corner. I like to hear open up the shot. She like,
Yeah, I already know what the obituary is going to read, and that's what we dictate. We have to control how we transform. So transforming for me, not only being liberated outside of prison, but it's work. It just didn't happen like that.
Right.
I put in the work, right? Everybody
right now.
going outside playing, watching the game, going outside, seeing the sun and playing softball, basketball, but I was working.
yes.
Right? But not only for the liberation of my body, but my spirit. We always talk about the spirit. The spirit is what controls everything, right? And if you lose spirit, you lose hope. And that's what I never did. So liberation for me came from within. And it's something that you got to clean up.
good.
You got to clean up, right? Because they wanted to say, well, this is who Ruben Malik is. and I had to make them change that. That's not who I am. I'm going to tell you who I am, then you can respond. Don't read what you think I am. I'm going to tell you who I am, and then you can respond. So liberation, I'm liberated.
Yeah.
Y'all give him a round of applause. Is that beautiful? A couple things he said I just wanted to amplify. He said he wrote down who he was. So, but he also showed up differently.
Absolutely.
Right? You be it.
That's it.
To see it.
That's right.
Right? You be it. You got to show up being whatever you say you want to be. And you will see the outcomes and the results that you want to see. And I love that writing it down is so important. Debrina said in our very first session, or maybe even in the promo video, but you got to have a plan. And you don't have to make it up. Because it's better together. One of us in this community has done what you're trying to do. None of us are creating, most of us are not creating brand new pathways to accomplish your goal. I want to start a business. You may have a new idea for a business, but you're not the first person to start a business, right? You want to get your revenue to the next level. More entrepreneurs than not have said to me, this work has been so powerful because it's freed me to get to the next level of my business. So many things have been a blockade, so we get to decide. Thank you, each of you, for showing up, actually being willing to get to the next level, to do the work, to stay in it. This isn't over. This just happens to be the last session in this particular series, but we're going to continue this work. We do a Magnificent Mondays every Monday, actually, right? We've been on Rainier Avenue Radio. I was supposed to clock out, but I gave, they're watching us. They understand, right? 6 and 7 o'clock, we're on Rainier Avenue Radio. Peace, deuces. I'm not watching the clock.
Love it.
I got a producer. He's all into the work too. He's into it. So what's exciting is we got two producers. We got the radio producer. We got the producer in the room. We're creating a documentary from this. All of your voices. In fact, this is going to be episode 1. Because we're laying out a very clear roadmap of what success looks like. This is what we say we want to accomplish. So we got several more weeks where we're going to be pulling in your voices. If you've been watching, and over 1,000 people have been watching and doing this work.
Amen.
Online, it's been insane. Insane.
That's awesome.
It is incredible. So we want to hear your voices. So we want these voices to be captured, to be a part of this testimony. This is where we are right now. Episode 1. It's easy. We got all the videos, right? It's already, my mind is captured. We've done one-on-one things. Yes. So we will be creating what that new legacy for what success looks like. So I'm excited to not only talk about the science, to bring in the spirit, to bring in real people all around this room, but to bring in, other voices. We've had about 3 or 4 poets, because we said this is about also arts and culture. Dr. Linda was talking about this space being a healing circle. She brought in the rocks and the tablecloth and the special golden assets, right? We got all kind of, oh, excuse me, I didn't mention this. There you go. We got the sound bath. For the bones. The right?
Yes, yeah.
Right, that moment. So this is about culture and healing. So tell us a little bit about who you are. Based on what you've heard, you're new to this whole experience, but you ain't new to this concept of getting better together. Right. You're not new to this concept of telling your story. Right. You're not new to the idea of liberation. Free your mind and success will follow.
Yes, right. That's a lot.
It's a lot. Any of that. I'm giving you an open. But we said we want to hear your voices.
Okay.
Your thoughts about any of these beautiful topics.
This is what happened when you run into Dr. Hell on a Saturday and you show up on a Monday and say drop some gems. But for my story, I've been in Seattle for 24 years. Originally from North Carolina. Went to a HBCU, Delaware State University. Right. Came to Seattle. Never been to the West Coast before. Just picked up and moved. I don't recommend it. Have a plan. Because we ran out of money real quick. And my art degree, I couldn't get into the community. But then my business degree got me a job. And then, I have some degrees. I'm sorry. And then I talk about them like they're nothing. And then I went to church. And Dr. Tanya Pettifer Waits I was a stage manager for a show called Give It Up. And she was like, we had a debrief, and she was like, you got something in you, and the Lord said you have to use your gifts. You're going to do an internship at the Seattle Repertory Theater. I don't know what the Seattle Repertory Theater is. I don't know who you are. I just met you. What is going on? I did the internship.
Long story short,
I did the internship. She was right. And then that kicked off my career as a stage manager, production manager. Now I was for 10 years. I just stepped down as the executive director of the Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas. Wow. I'm now, right now, in this very moment, the interim executive director for Spectrum Dance Theater. Ooh. And with all of that, I started an organization called the Mahogany Project that Marianne Osborne now is the keeper of. I passed that on to her.
I love her.
From AWA.
We met at the Genius Conference.
Yes.
Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
So amazing.
Yeah, where I was speaking on how you do a solo show. And so
and I was speaking on how to live powerfully. And our own Debrina Jackson Gandy was there speaking on just how to show up in excellence and all the things that you do. It was nothing but geniuses.
Nothing but geniuses.
Genius.
I didn't even know I was a genius until that day.
You knew.
I was like, I didn't know. I was like, I'm a genius. Let me do this presentation. And then I passed that on to her and started focusing on myself as a storyteller. And then everything just started clicking. My therapist told me, I have a therapist.
Me too.
And she said that when I talked about my work, like the administration work, I just talked about it. But when I talked about my art, I lit up. And she said that meant that you have to do art. You cannot not do art. And so I've been doing it for years now. I was doing it before she said it, but I became more purposeful about it. And now I'm in transition for 10 years at CD Forum, art was second and administration was first. And now art is first and administration is second. And so my last show was called Legacy. And everything she was saying about failure and being willing to fail. I told my students, I also teach at Seattle U. I just finished teaching an entrepreneurship senior synthesis class. And I told them, what is your why? And you really have to have your why. You really have to know why you're doing this work and how you're going to stay engaged in this work, because there's going to be the times when you want to quit. And there's going to be times when people are going to tell you that you're not good enough, or you're going to feel like you're not good enough because you didn't get an opportunity, or you wasn't on a certain stage, or and so you have to know why you continue to do what you do. And as long as you can pull that out your back pocket, you can keep going. That's right. And I guess that's my way of being liberated, but it's also a way of telling stories around social issues that won't necessarily seep into people's souls when they see the same stories on the news, right? When you hear about someone being murdered and then you hear it on the news, it just sounds like this is what happened. But when you say, that was my cousin and he has a child and I didn't know that he was in that life, I just knew him for who he was. And so I try to tell stories about my mental health. I try to tell stories about, I've told stories about autism, homelessness. A lot of my stories are personal. And I now have to ask my family permission. I'm about to tell this story. Can I have permission? And they don't like to have conversations around me, but it's about, this world. One of the things I learned from my family and from people I have around me is not working yourself to death. My dad worked 28 years in the Postal Service and got 2 years because he never additional years to retire at 30 years because he never took a day off. Right? My mom worked her butt off at a factory for years. It's like, don't you work that hard? And my grandmother worked as a social worker, worked in the church, worked all over the place at the polls, and they all say, yeah, that work gonna be there. Don't you work? They worked hard, so we didn't have to work that hard. And so why aren't you making time for yourself? Don't you let them people kill you, because for that job, they will leave you. You will leave that job, you will die, and they will have somebody in your position before you can think about it. So I think, and then I love to tell people that art is in our everyday life. Like he was just talking about, writing his book. That's art.
That's art.
This show is art. Video, how we communicate, however we bring things together. Art is all the way. This is art. Somebody made that. Was I supposed to touch that? Is that
Listen, even more sacred with community.
Oh, okay.
Hands on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It remind me of when we used to boom, okay. But it's all artistic, and we lean on it. A lot of times people like to lean on it when things are bad, but we also lean on it when we rejoice. When you ride it in the car and you hear that song that hits your soul, and you're like, yeah, and you're like, oh yeah, that's me, because you done turned on some Dolly McClurkin or something. But it's just, I just love helping people hear and see beyond what they know in the news and what people tell us on TV.
I love it. Thank you so much. I love how you show up like fully authentic. You're like, oh, by the way, let me see one of your tests. That says ambitious.
Yes.
Ambitious.
Yes. So the story behind that one is when I was working on my master's in fine arts and arts leadership, I had a project called Dare to Claim This, Declaration of Independence, DOI. And every time I talked about it, somebody said it was ambitious. And it was mainly white men that was telling me that it was ambitious. And I took that as a dig into my soul. And I was like, man, they said it's ambitious. Am I going to be able to do it? And then when it came close to it being done, I looked up ambitious. And I was like, you daggone right I'm ambitious. This is my vision. I'm supposed to be ambitious. Don't nobody see it but me. And y'all aren't supposed to see it because it's my vision. I'm just supposed to bring it to life. And so I took ownership of being ambitious, and there's going to be times where when my family didn't know what the heck is a storyteller. Like, what are you doing? You have an MBA, you're broke, what's going on? And why aren't you working where you're supposed to be working? Why are you doing this art thing? And then I showed up at my auntie's funeral and I read a piece. And they were like, that's what you do? That's what you, okay. And so
keep doing.
And so I keep that as a reminder that my vision is my vision, and that I'm the only person that owns that vision. And so I need to stay ambitious.
Wow. Yes. I love that so much.
Keep checking out my tats.
That one just popped out. Like, okay, ambitious. I love it. This has just been so wonderful. We had a couple more faces that showed up. And Dr. James Carter, how are you?
I'm pretty good.
Dr. Carter is president of the Seattle chapter of the National Black MBA Association, as you all know. And part of this work has been, I'll say, curated. As a joint experience. We've all shown up because we said, it is so much better when we do this together. We started this a few years ago, that concept. Getting better together became even more of a focus for us because we realized as you think about business and entrepreneurs, it's like when we did, I think I've probably done, 4,700 interviews, literally, of individuals in both professionals and entrepreneurs. And when they talk about what we need to succeed, it's this work. That's why when someone says, you should be doing this for a living, and God said, you should be doing this for a living, I was like, I'm fully surrendered. Let's go. I'm ambitious. I believe it's possible. I believe anything is possible. I believe that we together can absolutely change the world. And so, Dr. Carter, what I want to ask you about is, National Black MBA Association, but you're also an entrepreneur yourself. You're also You're leading these groups within community of young people. Would you talk to us about why this is so important? And when you hear the term liberation and freedom and this idea of us connecting community to do this work, doing it because it's better together, what are your thoughts about why we should continue to do this work, why we should be getting support from others to do this work, all of that information? What would you like to share?
Sure. So, unfortunately, we're always reminded of how short life really is. Just this past Friday, a tragedy occurred to a young soul. And it's so unfortunate that this young man will not have the opportunity to experience being a parent, seeing a child graduate from high school, having the experience of being able to retire after working for a while. We're always reminded of that, unfortunately. So community is really important, because if we lose community, we lose ourselves. Our ability to survive, our ability to move forward, our ability to plan and make life better for those who are going to come behind us. I am always reminded that it is important for me to be here to do this work. I was blessed as a child to have parents, a stepfather and a mother that made sure that I went to school, made sure that I lived a life that would allow me to get into the school that I wanted to get into, that will allow me to be in the military, that would allow me to be on the police department, and to have the opportunity to bring that work experience and 5 or 6 degrees here to work with the young black and brown boys and girls in high schools and colleges here in the Seattle area. It's really important. Yes. And it would be remiss of me to say, oh, I do all that work by myself. No, it's all me. No, it takes a team. It takes a family. It takes a village. There are so many decisions and details that have to be looked after to take care of these young folks. And it takes more than just one person, more than just one body to be able to do that. And so I think in my mind, in order for me to be liberated, I've got to give back. And so that there's somebody to fill the space when I'm gone to allow me to be liberated. Yes. And as long as I'm living in that truth, then I feel like I'm taking steps in the right direction. There's no guarantee I'm going to be here tomorrow. And there's no guarantee that we are going to be here next month. But what I can guarantee you is that as long as I have the opportunity to give and to give back, well, that's just what I'm going to do. So.
That's called legacy, brother.
I love that. I love that so much. So we also have some people that again, Debrina was here earlier today. Part of the questions I asked her was around this concept of both legacy. We also talked about accountability and activation. So this is not a conversation where you got a few people talking. This is a community space, right? We've built trust, and we built love. We've actually had way more people online than we do physically in the room, because we're making it easy. We're making it easy for you to connect. We're laying out very clear roadmap for you to succeed. Let's see what Debrina had to say about action and accountability.
I was watching a very short TikTok reel probably about 3 months ago, and the person was looking at the camera saying, if you have to tell someone something over and over and over again, it's not about them not understanding you, it's about them disrespecting you. And I cringe, because the measure of your communication mastery as a sender is, does it get received accurately and as you intended, and is it understood on the part of the receiver? So now for someone to say in that leading TikTok reel that, hey, it's just them disrespecting you, meaning that you have no responsibility for you, the person in the communication with you, understanding successfully what you are communicating. If they don't, hey, they're just trying to mess with your mind. I mean, I was like, oh my goodness. But there are a lot of twisted teachings out there like that, right? So just being able to own your part in it, not more than your part, own your part in it, in a culture that avoids truth, runs from the mirror, and runs from illumination, we can understand why we might have a hard time owning things. So part of a transformational process is that you come in operating in truth. You come in owning your part, because you're also saying, I am recognizing my personal power.
Yeah, that's how we started this whole journey. It was about personal power. It's like we all have self-command. We have the power of self-command. So many of you said, I'm watching online, I got to get in the room. And so many of you in the room are like, oh my God, this is so good. I have continue to watch online. And so what we decided we were going to do is we're going to take this content and we're turning it into a documentary. Right? We're going to make sure that it is laid out very clearly what success looks like. When you show up and you show up and you show up and you want to leave that legacy, we talked about people who, you just came up here a few minutes ago and you said, my goodness. And you've transformed. You transformed, and there's not one person who's had an experience that didn't take them to the next level, right? And so let's hear what Debrina had to say about this concept of being ready, next level, and actually moving forward.
We are ready, but oftentimes people don't know what's step one, what's step two, what's step three. So we don't know the sequence, and we keep taking forward and sliding backward and getting frustrated or losing our motivation or our passion. So to have some guidance, to have some direction, to say, hold up, let's get the foundation straight. Let's understand how this thing is put together. Even beneath your thoughts, you have something even more positive called beliefs. And we're going to look at those too. And once we look at those, you might understand why you've had certain patterns going on and how to clip the wires on it. And then understanding what gives rise to those thoughts and how thoughts inform our feelings and the whole process and where to begin and how to proceed. A lot of people, those are the missing pieces. But in this case, you have laid it out and brought in the experts in these various areas to provide leadership and guidance and insight and instruction and teaching and exercises and engagement so people have a process. So that's one of the things that I think is so exquisite about this.
Yeah, I love it when she used the word exquisite. This is what's so exquisite about this experience. It really is exquisite, y'all. I could not be more overjoyed. We've had people to come and have to leave. I get it. It's all good because I'm like, oh my God, this is like, it is exquisite and we get to transform. We have one other person who actually wanted to share just a little bit. Tell us what your name is and anything you want to share or contribute to the conversation, even a question, whatever you want.
My name is Melisha Bailey, and I am new here to Seattle. And actually, my first week here is when I came to session one. I hadn't even been here a week.
Wow.
So I knew that I was brought here for many reasons, to Seattle, but to be able to start my journey here in Seattle with this, getting better together to feel as a community. And this is what I wanted when I moved here to Seattle, to feel like I'm a part of a community, to be a part of a community and to be here and then to be transformed and be able to get better. And I noticed that when I really tapped into my saboteurs and the things that has served me and what has not served me, it makes me more determined to continue to be better. And so this has been a great experience for me, and it's what I needed, because I know that something deep inside of me is waiting to emerge, and this is just the beginning of the immersion.
I love
it.
Liberation has begun. So we're going to share a slide real quick because there is more, right? We're in this room. We've done this 6-week plan. We're packaging it. We're so excited to be packaging it. But we're also inviting each of you to bring your voice forward. So there's going to be multiple ways that you can share. Before I actually started this in person at MLK space, we were showing up on Rainier Avenue Radio Live. We would go into community in various places, and it's been so incredible. So we're going to continue to show up in community, but next week we're actually going to be talking about, again, how do you live powerfully? Bringing more of these videos, asking people to truly create a space to share your story. So if you want to share your story, you can email me. We'll put this in the chat. It's Tracy at itsallbiggerthan SME.com. You can go online. We're going to be live on Rainier Avenue Radio. That's kind of one of the spaces where we've been able to get this out so powerfully. But we're also on multiple Facebooks, multiple YouTubes, multiple LinkedIn's. We're actually on multiple churches. Like, we're on business organizations. So the idea is we can get better together. We can show up and do this work together. So it's not over. Next week, we're going to be talking about illumination, activation, and transformation. And none of this is going to be new, y'all. This is not a secret. You guys remember the major book, The Secret?
Yes.
Do you remember that? How transformational it was? Well, the secret about The Secret is that it ain't no secret, right? I'm saying, there is no secret, right? It is actually about you creating the life that you lead. Your decisions determine your destiny. It's not a secret, right? It is something that you can own. We can each own, and what I see is we are owning it. Is there anyone else in this space who wants to share their voice before we actually come to a close?
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you for
Thank
putting it together.
Thank
and
you.
opening it up to the entire community.
Yes, it's been so powerful. Again, it's not over. We're going to continue to pull together voices and continue to pull together content. There's some slides here we have, which we can share in post-production. I think he's asking me to do a quick recap. Okay, I will do that. Okay, we got a few minutes. What do you got? Which slide do you want to share first? So we do have some slides, and we started this by talking about this Better Together Empowerment Series. We talked about what it is and why is it so important, right? It's been really critical that we show up because we know we're 500% more likely to complete any task when you do it in community, right? It's cultural. It's like you said, it's the arts. Telling your story, creating these videos, it's very much an art. So this is about arts and culture, but it's also about the science. It's proven to work if you work it, right? It's about the spiritual side. We've been able to actually create a space that is exceptional. So we're doing this work because it works. We're doing it for you because we believe with our full heart that we can actually change the status quo. You can change the system because guess what? We are the system. We are the system. So when you look in the mirror and you drive change, here, that's how we change systems. When we create we decide what success looks like. I cannot believe this guy. Can you just come here real quick as I leave? Sorry, I know you have another meeting, but I'm just going to come real quick before I go. So I'm talking to Owen to come back here somehow. If you stay in here, I think you'll still be in the shot. Yeah, there you go. Owen standing in the corner. Can we give him a round of applause? Stand over a little bit. Stand right here. There you go. There you go. So yeah, there you go. So Owen is here simply as a co-creator of this experience. So can we give him a round of applause like he's a co-creator? Can we make sure he is here? Owen, thank you so much. This has been so powerful. Let's talk about the next slide real quick. We'll do this together. Go to the next slide real quick. I didn't want you to leave yet. So we talked about, we focus on transformation, shifting a paradigm. You guys know what a paradigm is? When everything changes? Right? When you shift the paradigm, your outcomes change, right? You go to the root cause analysis, changing your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. That's when the results change. So this is about shifting your paradigm. Everything changes. That's what transformation looks like. And I could not be more excited to continue this work with you, to continue this work. What do we have next? Don't go anywhere. What do we have next? So we actually talked about, there's 3 things, right? This isn't just about, mind. I do say free your mind and success will follow.
Mind, body, and spirit.
Say it again.
Mind, body, and spirit.
He said mind, body, and spirit. Y'all, it's all of the things. We step into this holistically. So when she talks about art and culture, science and spirit, it's all of the things, right? We get to bring our whole selves into our businesses, into our communities, into our families. Don't leave nothing behind. You deserve for your dreams to come true. This is about having mountaintop experiences, y'all, and we're doing that together. Next slide, please. The other 3 elements, again, we're talking next week even deeper about illumination, that awareness, activation, taking the right steps, doing the work, right, the real work, and then transformation, not going back, not even being able to go back. When you transform, a butterfly cannot go back to a caterpillar. So that's the work, y'all. That's us going deep, showcasing your new beliefs and actually transforming. So when you're like, I'm a business owner, and if you believe that business is hard, that I gotta work 24/7, it's not true, right? You get to decide, what do you truly believe? right? This is me and my genius. This is about ease and flow. As a business owner, when you wake up, show up, you know it's true, right? When you show up and you decide that this is me and my glory, I don't have to work 24/7 because I'm just doing what I do. No one does it better than me, right? There's a whole new mindset when you're like, this is who I am. I get to live my dreams. I get to have these mountaintop experiences. It's exceptional. So transformation is about starting in one place but knowing that you can have it all. Your dreams can come true. Is there more? Oh, there's one more. We talked about the focus, right? We already said it's science, proven to work. Neuroscience, positive psychology, cognitive behavioral psychology, and performance science, guaranteed to work, y'all. So all I can say is all the things we're pulling together for you, they're guaranteed to work if you work it. It's just that simple. These are living testimonies. That's all we can do is show up and continue the work. It's not a one-time thing, right? This is about the practice of mental fitness, and we will continue to show up for you. We also were able to bring in some both universal truths and spiritual truths, which has been really exciting. Most people in this space have said, wow, this changed everything. But then you mentioned the arts and culture. It's all cultural. This space has really been for us. Does anyone have any family members that you want to have this experience? Raise your hand.
All of them.
Every hand in the room. Does anyone have anyone in their life that they think should have this experience? Right. So when you transform, just know that you can't transform for someone else, but your transformation will have a positive ripple effect in the community, y'all. So just like she said, we get to change ourselves, we get to change community, and we get to change the world. Let's share that last slide again so people know how to find us. We're going to be on Rainier Avenue Radio. We're going to be on It's All Bigger Than Me. We're going to be on the Seattle chapter of the National Black MBA, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. And we want to say thank you to both King County. We did win the Racism is a Public Health Crisis grant. And so the Gathering Collaborative, they're going to be featuring us on Friday, which is very exciting. We have a meeting with Dow Constantine and others to really focus on this work. And in the room, I think she's going to be really shy and not want to come up, but I think we should invite Lisa Smith up to the front. I think we should. What do you think? She's being shy, but how about we give her a round of applause and see if we can get her to come up here? Yay! We cannot do this work without. We ate every time. Call her on. Come on, Lisa. We have eaten every time that we came here. Come on, give her a round of applause, y'all. We've eaten, we've had dinner. We got a video producer in the back. She's refusing to come up. But let me just say, Washington State Micro Enterprise Association, y'all, they have supported this work. And it was a leap of faith because they're like, science? What? For businesses, positive what? I was like, positive psychology is a part of it, but there's all these other things. She believed in us. And so we get to feed you, we get to have a video producer, we get to create a space, right? We get to show up in community, we get to leave a legacy. So let's just say thank you again to Washington State Micro Enterprise Association. And y'all, there's more to come. Again, thank each of you. So for those online, we have not forgotten about you. I promise you, we have so many videos and clips and content. We want to hear from you though. So again, email us, stay online, put your comments in the chat, like us and all the things, and we promise that you are going to continue to evolve, continue to transform, and guess what, y'all? We're getting better together. We're doing it!